Erin and Simon with Assets and Arbitrage, and we have a great show for you today. But first, we want to honor our firstborn. We're going on 21 winters with him. He turns the excellent 21 years old, so he's like officially an adult, right? Thought he was an adult at 18, but he's officially an adult. So we just wanted to say happy birthday to the young king, or the prince, right? His king's over here. Did you want to say something, Dad?
Yeah, I'm just saying this is our eldest son. We have 4 sons. This is our eldest son. He is turning 21, which is a very monumental birthday and age to turn. So we just wanted to put that out there, let everybody know we're celebrating our son's 21st birthday. It is a grand event. We're gonna have a great party and everything. So we just wanted to put that out there, so shout out to, like you said, the young prince. He's turning 21, he's taking over. He does have a Steelers shirt on, which I do not appreciate, but we'll keep it moving on that. Did you want to say anything?
It's a house divided, y'all.
Yeah.
No, we are very proud of him. We always talk about legacy on the show. So today is a day where we honor and celebrate him. He was our first bundle of joy we brought home. There's been so many bundles of joy since. But that also means we're not on the hook for no more expensive birthdays. This is it. The buck stops here. Right? Next year you got your birthday. Matter of fact, you gonna pay for some stuff and we just gonna celebrate with you.
Yeah. There you go. Did you want to say anything? Anything?
Nothing too much. I think 21 is a good number to turn. I think this is probably one of the birthdays I'm excited for. 22, 23, but 21 is the one for me.
And we're gonna have a great day today.
Mm-hmm.
We got food, we're gonna have folks, we're gonna have fun. There's gonna be gifts and cake. So, but this is it.
This is it.
You're gonna have to help pay for some of the birthdays moving forward with the rest of the kids.
Yeah.
All right.
And so for 21, we do have to do this.
Okay.
You guys know what it is. We do have to do this. We have to
No,
do
you
this.
don't drink the whole cup. You just take it.
Yeah, it's a little tequila, 21, you get a little something. There we go. That wasn't bad. But yeah, we just wanted to shout out, and have that, so we can say, about the birthday.
And in the spirit of Nori, we're gonna give you your flowers today.
Wow.
Yay! We're gonna clap it up for you. You're a great son, you're a great co-parent, you're a great backup quarterback for your dad. We appreciate you here in the house. And we're gonna celebrate you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have a very technical show called the Thucydides Trap.
Yes.
You are welcome to stay, as it is part of the homeschooling. I know you're on college level homeschooling, but I suggest that you stay so that you can understand the changing of the guard.
Yeah.
As far as empires go.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, you understood that America was a great and grandiose empire, and that's changing. And your dad's gonna kind of talk about that today. Are you ready for me to share the screen?
Yeah, yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So Simon is gonna talk to you guys. I'm gonna chop up some good game with y'all. But you want the first screen first, right? All right.
So if you guys are familiar, Bitcoiners, if you guys are familiar with Max Kaiser and Stacy Herbert, they mention this a lot. It's called the Thucydides trap, right? And you say, what is a Thucydides trap? So it is a term that is popularized by American political scientist. His name is Graham T. Allison. And he describes some of the things that goes on, if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he basically describes an apparent tendency towards war when an emerging power threatens to displace the existing power. And in this case, we're going to be talking about China displacing the empire of the United States. Mm-hmm. Now, if you guys were able to catch the show last week, I'm going to make sure that I put that show link back in the description just in case you missed it, because we were talking to you guys about the existing BRICS nation and all of the contenders who are applying for application for a seat at the table. And one of the main things that we discussed during that show was that China, which I refer to as pot salt, has their hands in every single recipe in the kitchen. So we're beginning to witness a changing of the guard. In the midst of the changing of the guard, we're going to be looking at changing monetary policies. You're seeing the economy is taking a hard hit as it is going through that transition. Did you want to do the history of Thucydides?
We can. I mean, who he is, but I have another thing if we could pull up who he is. But yes, it's definitely, we talked about the BRICS nations, and part of the BRICS nations, the BRICS, China is the one who is coming as the emerging power, and they're coming with the CBDCs.
Yes.
Yes, the digital yuan, and they're trying to circumvent using the US dollar. So you see an emerging nation trying to take over a nation that was already in power. So do you want to talk about Thucydides, who he is, and then maybe why it's important?
But I thought it would be important to mention, just in case this is the first time someone's joining our show, the reason they want to backdoor the US dollar is because the United States has weaponized the US dollar for a very long time against nations. What they would do is they would place sanctions or restrictions on certain countries when they didn't do what the United States wanted them to do. If they didn't allow the United States to occupy within their country, have access to resources. Many people in the United States don't understand that the United States as well is basically a colonizer. They don't really understand that, right? We think about Britain, we think about China, and you don't realize that America has occupation in a lot of countries. You have to ask yourself why they use the term occupation, because it sounds more politically correct and gentler than colonization. And ultimately, that's what it really is. So Simon wants to talk about the Athenian historian and military general Thucydides, in which he posited the Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta had been inevitable because the Spartan fears the growth of the Athenian power. I'm just gonna kind of shift over just to get a little bit more detailed information. Oh no, we didn't do it, remember?
No.
Hold on, you guys know he wants me to do the actual Thucydides, and then we'll come back to this.
Here we go.
So this was going on at the 5th century BC war between Sparta and Athens. Thucydides had been dubbed the father of scientific history by those who accepted his claims to have applied strict standards of impartiality and evidence gathering and analysis of cause and effect without reference to intervention by the gods, as outlined in the introduction to his work. He's also the father of the school of political realism, which views the political behavior of individuals and the subsequent outcomes of relation between states as ultimately mediated by and constructed upon fear and self-interest. So in a sense, he was kind of a philosopher, like a political philosopher. Did you want to say anything, baby?
No, he's like political philosopher, political scientist, and that's where they get the term from. And, we're not going to make it some kind of a history.
But historical context, you guys know how serious we take historical context, because once we get the bit of historical context, we have an idea and we have some insight and foresight into what's to come for us with the changing of the guard between China and the United States. So that's why we're having this like mini history lesson. This is a great link for you guys who are homeschooling your older children, that they can learn about the Thucydides trap, especially since when we were growing up, we had to do current events. Remember that?
Yeah, current events, yeah.
Right. I don't know if the kids do that anymore, but we used to have to do current events once a week so that we could apply what we were learning in school to what was actually happening in our world growing up. Basically, Thucydides developed an understanding of human nature to explain behavior in such crises, such as plagues, massacres, and war.
Okay, so we're going to go over the wars of the Thucydides traps. So you got about, I think it's 18 of them, if I am correct.
Yes, 16.
16, okay, I'm sorry. So you have the Thucydides trap. So what we're saying is an emerging country
Yes.
is going to overtake the ruling country. So let's go over some of these wars. So you have the first one. So this is the late 15th century. Now we're going way back, but it is Portugal versus Spain. There was no war. So that's good. That's good.
Portugal and Spain were huge colonizers, right? They had whole empires. So again, we're talking to you about historical context so that you can see and understand what's to come. I do want to mention one more thing, 'cause I don't know if they know this.
Okay.
But China is now coming back around to its day. China did have a dynasty. They were the world, like the entire world's empire. They had a dynasty. They were a huge power. And I cannot remember what year that would be. I do need to look that up for you guys, or you can look it up for yourself. But just understand now that we're coming back around the block to them being a world power again.
And then we're going to go into the second one. It is
France.
It's France versus Habsburg, right? If you guys are familiar with Habsburg, I'm sure you guys are. No, Habsburg was a big deal back then, 16th century. But is there anything you want to read after here? Is there anything?
So this is during the Holy Roman Emperor. So I should say the Empire, the Holy Roman Empire. I'm not going to go too much into this, as these links will be available for you guys to take a look at. But the Spanish king's influence, his neighbors' anxiety, grew as he consolidated his rule over Habsburg. So he was consolidating his empire, and that was making people nervous. He controlled parts of the Holy Roman Empire, the Netherlands, territories in Franche-Comté, and modern-day Italy, and Spain's empire in the New World. So that was a lot of territory during the late 16th century. Yes, to have control over. Again, we're not going to read all of this to you guys. But we do want you to see how an emerging empire is now fighting with the existing empire in order to come to power. The struggle between France and the Habsburgs continued intermittently until the late 1500s, even as the Ottoman Empire rose to threaten Habsburg power. At that point, having exhausted their finances, because war is very expensive, both sides agreed to shelve their hostilities. A long peace paved the way for the new Spanish Habsburg king, Philip II, to enjoy undisputed supremacy in Christendom, while France dealt with decades of domestic turmoil in the French Wars of Religion. Conflict resumed during the early 1600s as King Philip IV of Spain faced a rising France under King Louis VIII. Under his successor, the son, do they mean the son? They meant S-O-N, didn't they? King Louis XIV. France became continental Europe's preeminent power once more. So France had the ability to get their power back eventually. It took a while.
Took a while. And like we said, we can go to the this is the 16th and 17th centuries. You got the Habsburgs versus the Ottoman Empire. So that was just a fight back and forth right there. So, that just went on for a while. Habsburg is a very big empire. Something you should look up, go check out, see about the Habsburgs. We're going to go to the first half of the 17th century, Habsburgs versus Sweden. So do you want to go in deep on that, or we just keep it moving?
No, because just notice Habsburg would kind of be like the US in a sense, fighting all of these different countries. We had issues with the Middle East, you had issues with Eastern Europe, we had issues with North Korea, like we had these issues with all these people. So you can see that Habsburg had issues as the existing power with emerging powers for almost 200 years.
Yes, indeed. And so the next one is, what's the next one?
The Dutch versus England.
Oh, the Dutch versus England war. Do we want to go into that, or just keep it moving?
I would like to help you guys understand that the Dutch Republic, England, and Portugal had huge interest in plantations. Okay, so we're headed to the 17th century. This is on or about the time when slavery became big within the Caribbean islands
Mhm.
and Caribbean countries, Colombia, because that was Portuguese, if I'm not mistaken, and a bit of Spain. But just understanding the global empire, the sea power in trade, right? That's what they were fighting over. By the time the Dutch Republic was granted full recognition of its independence in 1648, it had already emerged as Europe's preeminent trading power. This is how they got into the slave game, y'all, the trading. The slaves were part of the merchants and the items that they would be trading. Its dominance of the seas and colonial empire soon brought the Republic into conflict with the English, who expanded their holdings in North America, right? So the colonies, and their trading presence in the East Indies.
So you know how today we trade Bitcoin. They traded slaves. They traded black people. So
with trading posts across the Silk Road, that's Indo-Asia, y'all.
yeah.
South America, West Africa, Japan, and the Pacific Islands, as well as colonies in India and what later became New York. The Dutch Republic in the mid-17th century was the world's leader in international commerce. The United States right now is somewhat still the world's leader in international commerce. So what we really want as we're reading this to you, I know you guys are like, what does A have to do with B? We just want to show you the parallels in the personalities of the empires and what we have established today. It used this power to construct a borderless world, which we are currently enjoying, which enabled the tiny Netherlands to translate high productivity and efficiency into outsized political and economic power. Thus, lucrative trading codes gave the publicly owned Dutch East India Company a leading role in global spice trade, as well as people, which they don't have in here like they should, but I have a whole book about it, y'all.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next war.
Okay, the next war. So we're going to the late 17th century. Or mid 18th centuries, it's going to be France versus Great Britain.
So the English again.
Yeah.
And the English have now become really the Habsburgs. So for the next almost 200 years, you're going to see the United Kingdom having issues, a little bit less than 200, I'm sorry, y'all, having issues with Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Mm-hmm. And so we can keep going over these. It's going to be United Kingdom versus France again. There's a war, but that's the thing about the Thucydides tract. Is there going to be a war when there's time for an emerging country to come into power? And that's what we're saying. We don't want this because we're in a Thucydides tract right now, and we don't really want a war with China and Russia and all this stuff. But it can happen. You know, we got United Kingdom versus France, United Kingdom versus Russia. There was a war. There was France versus Germany in the mid-19th century, which, I mean, they're really talking about World War I and World War II, right?
Mm-hmm. So as we continue looking at this, we also want to understand that China owns a lot of the US's debt. Mm-hmm. When we were talking about precious metals, and this is the real wealth, I know a lot of us are, laser focused into Bitcoin and laser focused into crypto, but you do have to understand the existing wealth and what it looks like. The United States doesn't have the commodities that it should. They just don't. China is holding on to the lion's share of gold, while Chase Bank, JP Morgan Chase, does hold a lion's share of silver. Just understand that wealth doesn't really compare magnitude-wise, as Simon would say. The magnitude of wealth from the gold ratio that China has to the silver ratio that JP Morgan Chase has really don't compare when you look at it. Mm-hmm. So just understanding that the United States doesn't have the commodities in order to really withstand a war. We're already in big trouble financially, right? With all of the multi-trillion dollar backed stimuluses that they wrote, the money that we keep sending Israel, the money that we are sending to the Ukraine, the obligations that we have to things that aren't America, that I think a war with China would actually financially crush us, and it would not be in our best interest. And that's just financially, that's not even manpower wise.
Right.
right? The Chinese military, forget it. We could have all the technology in the world. They just outnumber us.
So yeah, and you know, the last one I'll go over, the last one, and I think is very important, is the what we refer to as the Cold War,
Mhm.
right, with Soviet Union, right? You know, there was no actual war there.
No.
There was some things that popped off, you know, some of the things like the Bay of Pigs,
Yeah.
dealing with Cuba, the Cold War. So, but it's getting dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have to go to war with these nations that, like you said, have that manpower,
Mhm.
you know, it's going to be problematic. I don't think that it would be a good idea. I don't think it's anything that
But
we're looking to do.
they have the manpower
Mhm.
and the commodities to back
Mhm.
anything that they want to do. So one of the reasons why the United States became very wealthy during World War II is because everybody was sending us their gold
Mm.
for weaponry and stuff. We were gaining the commodities. And I know, I don't know how many of you guys homeschool your kids, but I remember when we were going to school and we were learning these things and they were boring. You're like, why are we learning this? Now you know why you're learning the history.
Mhm.
That way, as things are happening, the writing's on the wall, you can say, okay, I see this is cyclical and this happened and that happened and that happened. Here's how we can prepare this way. So America doesn't have the commodities. We have shipped the commodities out, right? That's what Andy Sheckman was talking about as far as unregistered gold being shipped out.
Yeah.
He talked about mystery whales. We don't even know who's buying it, but the understanding is that these precious commodities are leaving the US market.
Yeah.
And that's very important to understand. During World War II, France was sending us their gold. You know, all of these different countries were sending us the gold. We had the gold in, what is it, Fort Knox?
Yeah.
Right? So we were able to establish ourselves financially, and that's how the whole weaponization of the dollar and stuff ended up happening.
But yeah, you know, and we just wanted to tie this back into the last week's show.
Yes.
About the BRICS nations. You see people getting together and going behind United States of America. We talk about the 5 major BRICS nations and then the 13 other nations who are applying to be a part of the BRICS nations plus, as they call it. And you can see that. You can see that happening. That's from a financial standpoint, but if things got to the point of war, then it could be from a war standpoint.
Yeah.
These would be the people who would be aligned against the United States. So just prepare yourself, be ready, have your things in order, like we say. I mean, that's all I really want to say about it. Not too much, would you?
And as military veterans, it's hard for Americans to understand what occupation would look like in the United States.
Ooh.
I mean, if we don't go to war, it could be something as simple as China having a significant occupation in the US. And Americans have not seen that before. They don't understand it. But when we serve in the military, we're in Germany, we're in Korea, we're in the Azores, we're deployed to all these places, Vietnam, where we have occupation and we're telling people what to do and how to do it and so on and so forth. You are going to begin to see and understand some of the things that we've been discussing on the show. Not to say that it's going to happen, but these are all possibilities and they're probabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, indeed. So, I mean, do you want to say anything? Do you want to be occupied?
No.
Hope for the best, but I get what you're saying. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yeah, hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
But, you know, as individuals, we can get prepared. You know, you guys really should take the time to look at the links we're going to leave for you so that you can have an idea on this is what happened, this is why it happened. This is what people did. We're telling you guys, if you can get your hands on some precious metals, silver especially is being forced into an ultimate scarcity, which makes it valuable. No matter what you think about it, you can be a big Bitcoin maximalist and still have some precious metals.
Yeah. Remember, it's value over price.
Mm-hmm.
People, get caught up in the price. What's the cost? Bitcoin cost per dollar or silver per ounce, gold per ounce. Is value over price.
And eventually the price is going to correct itself.
Yeah,
Just like
price
Bitcoin's
catch up.
price is gonna correct itself, precious metals prices, and we always talk about silver because it is very reasonable to begin to acquire weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, however you want to do it, quarterly. You're getting tax returns. We're heading into tax season. That is a great way to make your tax return productive.
Mhm.
Right, we get people need cars, they need clothes for their kids. It's the beginning of the new year. You got to do this, that, and the third. We understand that, but pay yourself first. Take a portion of that. Do what you need to do. This isn't financial advice. This is us saying find ways to cushion and protect your spending power.
Mhm. Yeah, and she said it right there. Pay yourself first. We may do a show. We may go over the old school Dave Ramsey chart, but Dave Ramsey will say pay yourself first.
Yeah.
Whether it's $50, $100, whatever. Pay yourself first before you go out here and pay the rest of these bills and things that you own. You have to pay yourself first. And that is the tenet of Dave Ramsey, OG, triple OG, and that's about it. I haven't really got much else to say. You got anything else to say?
No, we're gonna go watch the game. We're gonna celebrate the young prince. We're gonna cook these wings.
We got
and-
wings? Oh,
Yeah, we
shit.
got wings, we got Doritos. Well, you see, this is all he like. Doritos, bring some Doritos, Mom. And we're just gonna enjoy each other as a family. We're gonna check you guys out again next week. We will have a more technical show, so you guys be prepared for that. Get your notebooks out, but definitely take a look at these links.
Yeah, definitely. So check out the Thucydides track and just read over it, see the things that come back and kind of reach back around, and you can tie it into the BRICS nations and them expanding, and you can tie all this together and see what's gonna happen.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.